This is Dave Cohen with Extreme Metal Dreams site. I'm here with Aaron from Gemini Syndrome. If any of you know anything about Sinning, this is a band you definitely got to be paying attention to. These guys, I've seen them now 4 times in less than a year here at Corazon, and I'm not going to miss a show. They are one of the best bands to come see. Now, Aaron, you guys, last time we did an interview with you, my nephews, it was their first time getting an interview, and so I had to try to do it with a talker to help them out. I finally get to interview you, Aaron. And
we're freaking out.
You know,
we're freaking out.
It's really awesome to pay attention because you guys got a press agent and fixed publicity. Tom, the man's just amazing.
I love Tom.
I don't think I can piss some press agents off, but right now I really don't give a fuck. Small-time metal shows and metal sites, we love bands like these. And when they got press agents like Tom, this is what it's about. They always make sure we get good interviews with the best goddamn people.
I'll tell you what about Tom, man. The thing that's crazy is like I'll do phone interviews and then get off the phone with those people and I'll call him back. We usually have like a 30-minute conversation. I just like ask how it went or whatever, and then we end up BSing about like who knows what. He's become a friend, you know. Like I've never actually met him in person, but I talk to him more than some of my childhood friends. You know, we're just chatting on the phone.
You know, that's
Tom's
right.
one of the coolest people I've ever met. You know?
Same thing with that I've experienced with Tom.
Yeah.
Is a couple times him and I, we'll get off on the phone and we'll just start talking about the bands. And one thing I love about what they're doing with you guys is he is so on point about how you guys are touring and everything that you guys are doing, and he gives everything to every band that he works with. That's so amazing.
No doubt.
And some of the things that he's got me excited about that I'm almost tempted to fly over to some of the festivals that you guys got coming up this summer and stuff over on the East Coast, just so I can see you guys on an outrageous stage.
That'd be awesome.
You know, and
if you can make it, we'll
you know damn well I got to interview you and hang out with you and Rich and everybody. But I really want to get to talking about, you know, we kind of talked off camera about your time with OTEP and stuff. And so you have a lot of years experience touring now.
I have.
In many different styles, you know, singer, guitarist, you know, as a musician and stuff. What are you enjoying the most about with Gemini Syndrome compared to what you've done in the past?
The thing I love the most about this band is that it was organically created by us. You know, it was a big opportunity for me to be in OTEP to come up on a professional level like that, you know, and hit it from the ground running. That was really amazing, you know, and I got to learn a lot of things about what touring is like, what it's like to deal with just road life and venues and just show after show after show, something that I hadn't experienced before, you know. But the thing about this band is that I was here from the inception, and all 5 of us are here from the inception, and it's our project, it's my project, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to be a singer now, like, I have the platform to talk about what I want to talk about and see how that responds with people, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like that means more to me than I can describe, to have it be my creation, you know, have it be my words that people are singing back. And it's not to say that I didn't love being in OTEP and enjoy those songs. I was a fan of that band for years before I joined it, you know. But it was never mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was never my band. I was just a gun. I was a hired gun. I was playing guitar. I loved it, but it didn't resonate the same way. Like, it didn't have the same emotional meaning to me because it wasn't my stuff. So to be able to write music and have people still come out and appreciate it and respond the way they do is like, that's the most rewarding fucking thing on the planet, dude.
Well, you know, from my experience as a booking agent, you know, and tour manager through all the years that I have, since since I was 13 and I'm 45 now. That's 32 years of having enjoyment in the music industry.
Sure.
And some heartaches. And one thing that, I've really learned being a singer as well throughout the years and touring, that if you don't put out an amazing set, a venue's not going to have you back because they're not going to get a draw.
Sure.
One thing I've noticed about Gemini Syndrome is from day one, the first time I seen you, I didn't place you with OTEP, and so therefore it was like I was experiencing you all new again.
Sure.
And this time I got to experience you as a vocalist, and I thought you were going to be the tour manager of this band. And all of a sudden you get on stage, and man, my jaws dropped. You belted out some unbelievable notes, and I mean, it was instant, automatic, straight to your guys's, halfway through your set. It was like, I could still hear them. I gotta go get the CD, I gotta get this, I gotta get the shirt, I gotta, this band just jaw dropped me the very first time I saw you. And that's a hard thing to do when you've been in the music industry for years, to have any band do that.
I appreciate that.
And being a vocalist that's done deaf vocals and regular vocals, I believe in true vocals. And one thing that amazes me is you are just pure, just untapped talent, is how I see it when I watch you on stage. Because it's never the same show. How is it that you guys find that energy to never put on the same show, to where, you look back at some of the 80s bands, Iron Maiden is, AC/DC's done the same show, and it's never different. Never. I've never seen a different show from AC/DC. But then I go and see you guys, and it's a new experience every show. How do you keep that freshness going?
I mean, every day is different. It's going to have its own energy, and that is what it is. It's just going to evolve like that. I think for us, as far as like tour to tour, we try to change just even minor details, man. It's just how life kind of is. Maybe we put the songs in a different order. Maybe we set up the stage a little different. But really energetically, I guess going back to that first point, it's like every day is different. So we have a structure, I guess. I think every band kind of does. When you start touring, you're playing every day. You have to have some sort of structure to what you're going to do, so you know that your set list is this long, etc., etc. But every day is gonna evolve and bring in new emotional influences. Whether you're like in a great mood, or you're in a crap mood, or you're exhausted, or you're fighting with somebody, whether in the band or at home or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all gonna change everything that you do. And luckily for us, we've spent so much time together in the last few years, living together, touring together. There's a certain dynamic that everybody can kind of pick up on that. And I think that changes the show every day and makes it something new. Like last night, I was in a bad mood. So I screamed a little harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in a really good mood. I'm like, I don't want to scream today. I want to sing more. And it just you just take it as it comes. It just has to be a very organic thing. Otherwise it gets static. It gets very stasis-like. And that's not what music's supposed to be to me. Music's supposed to be an expression of emotion. That ebb and flow of energy that you have on a daily basis. And that's why songs mean stuff. That's why it means something to people, So if you can come see a show, maybe you see the song Basement one day, and I'm having a good day. And it's much more pleasant. And then maybe you see me the next time, and I'm having a shit day. And I'm really pissed off about something. And that song will come out more aggressive. It's just always gonna change.
That's true. That never really stopped to think about the daily energy and stuff. And the way that Gemini right now, I mean, my phone, there's not a day I don't wake up and I have at least 130 Twitter birds, notifications, and every single one of them is rich.
He's
straight out rich. I swear, if Twitter needs a spokesperson, he is the best guy, because I don't care. That man is on it.
No, he's social media, like, he's...
How is it that you guys keep yourselves so grounded? Because you guys are blowing up. I'm watching you guys get more and more hits. I'm watching your fan base get really humongous. But yet you guys are just so down to earth, no matter what. How do you keep yourself that, grounded?
I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to do this as a living, whatever living that is. But to be able to tour and play music for a career, I've been playing music since I was that tall, like my whole life. And it's just what I was, I think, made to do, put here to do. So, every day is a struggle. Every day is tiring. And why would I lose sight of humility because of that? It's not a sense of like I'm owed this. I worked for it, and I'm happy to be here. So, in that sense, like I'm grateful every time we play a show. Man, Brian and I were talking about this on this tour at some point a couple weeks ago. And he's like, it just hit me now after years. Just hit me. What's that, man? It's like we can go anywhere in the country and play a show, and people will come and they will sing along with us. And he was like, mind blown. You know what I mean? Like, we can go to Rhode Island, we can go to North Carolina, we can go anywhere. And maybe it's, these festivals where you're playing thousands of people, maybe it's 100 people, whatever. Still, you went to that town. We played a show in Joplin, Missouri.
I love that place.
We got some really cool friends that we've met out there that have been to like tons of shows. They like follow us and stuff. Really cool kids, and that's their hometown. So we played there this tour, and we were walking in like Joplin, Missouri. That show was sold out. It was an insane show. I was like I got on stage and I was blown away by the reaction of these people, and it's like, how could you not be appreciative of that? Joplin, fucking Missouri. Where is that? You know what I mean? And we did there.
Tour,
and everybody was really cool. All the fans were great. I spent a lot of time just hanging out in the parking lot talking to people. And yeah, then the show happens and it's sold out. And we're just like blown the fuck away, man. Like, this is amazing. To come to a little place like this and see all these cats come out, all singing along, all rocking out, moshing, dancing, whatever they want to do. And that's just the biggest compliment in the world, man, to know that, the one thing that I do, that I think I do relatively okay, is music, and that people are responding to it in such a positive way. It's like, alright.
Well, the Lux, come on, Lux CD, there's not a bad song on there. You guys, your structure of writing is really just amazing. And I can see how, like you're saying, the five of you come together so well and mesh. And in order to have all that energy, and not to be, as what we were talking earlier, a lot of bands come out nowadays and they're just a flash in the pan, they're gone. And a lot of them aren't even worth a one-hit wonder. But then you've got a band like you guys that any one of those songs can be played on the radio non-stop, and people aren't going to get sick of it.
Hope not.
And it's like my nephew's learning a lot about our hometown of Olympia and the music scene from there. And one of the bands that we listened to on the way up today, I went to school with them, grew up all my life around them, and they're called Cypress. And you listen to this CD of theirs from 1986 and 87, and it's still, the music that they wrote back then is still fits today.
Sure.
And that's how I see the Lux album, is I can see it 20 years from now, it's still going to be a relevant album that people are going to enjoy.
Lord, I hope so.
I don't doubt it,
I
man.
hope so.
You know, because I'm very picky about my music. Very picky. And for anybody or a band to literally drop my job and give me a reason to spend what money I have going to their shows, interviewing them, spending time with them, getting to know them, to me, that's hard to get. And you give that breath of fresh air when I see you guys on stage. Tonight I get to see you actually use the whole stage. You know, the last 3 times you guys have been
Always support.
the supporting act.
Always support, yep.
What has it been like for you guys to be headlining this last 2 months and just ripping it up across the states the way you have?
It's just different. I can't say it's better or worse. I mean, I really enjoy being a support band because we get to be in front of people that maybe don't know us.
Yeah.
And you get to see a new crowd of fans and like hopefully convert some of them to our side. But something that's really exciting about doing these headline runs is that knowing that the people that are coming to see us specifically. And that's like another huge compliment, you know, really encouraging to see these kids come out. If anything, I guess, you know, it's easier to sing 30 minutes a day than 80 minutes a day. So there's that.
And then heat under the lights, of course.
Yeah,
you know.
it gets tiring in that sense, but it's funny too. Like you think about being a headline band, you're the first one in, last one out. It's like the airplane. You know?
Yeah.
You're the first one in, you get the back, you're gonna leave last.
Exactly.
So when you're a support band, it's like you come in, you let the headliner do their sound check, put your stuff on stage, you're done. Then you play a short set, get your stuff off, you're done. It's different with this, you know. It's different as a headline gig where we're the first ones in, we get to take our time, do a full sound check, blah 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 blah, and then wait a long time.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
play a really long time.
I have to agree.
You know, it's just it's a totally opposite experience in a sense. But they both have their rewards and they both have their drawbacks, you know. For me, again, going back to something I said earlier, I'm just happy that we get to do this. And I'm like very honored that I get to do this on a regular basis.
So we're talking that tonight's your last night on this tour for this drag, and then you have an opening spot that you guys are co-doing with Nonpoint at a festival.
Yep.
And then a couple weeks later, you guys hit the road again.
Yep.
And
As main sport for Seven Dust.
yeah, I was just getting ready to nail that. That there, I'm sure you're gonna love just being around LeJean and
I've gotten to meet Clint, Morgan, and LeJean before. Actually, I've met everybody in the band, I should say, at one point or other. But I've spent time, like a little bit of time with those guys. And man, I've been a Seven Dust fan since the first record. You know?
Yeah.
So we played a festival last year in Post Falls, Idaho. And the drummer for 10 years, Kyle's a good buddy of mine I grew up with in Chicago, another 20 years. And you know, we finally played a show together. We're like looking at 7,000 people. Like after we were both done playing, you're like, dude, like see what we've done, like look where we've come from, you know. And at that moment, LeJean comes up wearing this bright red poncho, just big smile on his face. He comes straight up to me. He's like, hey, you're Aaron from Gemini Syndrome. So, yeah, dude, I love your record. It's an honor to meet you. And like talking about jaws dropping. And I looked at him, I said, dude, you're fucking LeJean. I say that to you, not the other way around, you know. They're such cool, down-to-earth people, amazing musicians with a track record and a career that's just stifling, man. It's amazing to watch what those guys have done. And to have them appreciate us and then take us out with them too is a huge honor, dude. You know, I look back at the last year and the bands that I've been able to tour with and go on stage with and whatnot, and just the love we've gotten from so many people, whether it be Washerhead, Device, Nonpoint, Drowning Pool, Five Finger Death Punch. We just did a couple dates with Hell Yeah. And I got to spend a lot of time with Chad. You know, I toured that in OTEP 2 back in the day.
Yeah, Vinny, I've known him for
It's when I first met all those guys. So now
days.
it's, you know, it's a trip too, to go back to this part of the conversation. Excuse me. All those guys knew me from OTEP as a guitar player. And now I'm a singer. So I was chatting with Chad, and I was like, dude, I would really love it if you just, you know, at least check out a song or two, or whatever, just to see the difference. And he did, man. And we got like really great feedback from those guys, and a lot of love from them. But for me to spend my time with these guys that I've looked up to and have been inspired by and influenced by, and now I find myself,
they're equal.
yeah, I guess. No, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say I'm equal because I still look up to them. But at the same time, it's like, I guess I am. I guess it reached that place, you know. And to be in the group with those people, and it's just, man, it's like.
Well, it's not like you haven't put in your time and your dues, you know.
Certainly, but I still want to like remain humble or something, you know. Like I'm not trying to. Again, I'm not owed this.
True.
But I worked for it, and to get that recognition from those people is just like, it's something incredible.
You know, I look at it, for me, I like being the guy behind the scene now instead of the guy on stage. I really enjoy being that tour manager and making sure the band's taken care of, you know, and I'm also one of those serious bricks that I don't put up with the prima donna. You know, growing up in the 80s, like a lot of us have, you seen a lot of those prima donna vocalists. And, I mean, that was the whole reason I quit playing guitar and started singing, was because we got tired of having this teenage singer that, when we were teenagers, that thought he was God to everything. You know, instead of being realistic and, hey, this is about the music and the fun.
Yeah, it's not about me, man.
And so to me, being behind the music is really important because it gives you guys more security that when you hit that stage, you don't have nothing to worry about. You guys get to do what you do best, and that's rip people's heads off and make them enjoy music and life all at once. And I guess with you guys, I'm really starting to learn that all over again. Watching you guys just the way that you are. I show up today, you're outside talking to people on the street, just hanging out. To where a lot of bands, first thing they're gonna do, as soon as they're done with sound check, go to the hotel, avoid, you know, being around people, and that's not what I see with you.
No, I mean, I certainly have my days. I think we all do. When you're taxed, you're just tired, you know. There's days where I'll certainly hide in the vehicle or whatever, or if we're tired, we can take a nap or something. But beyond those circumstances, you know, the fact that we get to, like I said earlier, man, we come to anywhere in the country and people are going to come see us because they care about what we created. Why wouldn't I go talk to them? Why wouldn't I try to meet these people, you know? There was the girl sitting outside today, she's just sitting drawing her notepad. I walked by her like 20 times, finally I was like, what's your name, dude? And we had a conversation for 20 minutes, you know? Cool chick, she's a military girl, she's out now, she's telling me about all the stuff she does in her life and what she wants to do. She's young, she's like 24, you know? And I got to meet that person and like hear her life story, and then it was like, alright, cool, see you later. Cruise off and go do sound check or whatever.
So meeting all these people on tour, does it help you write more with your lyrics? Does it give you more?
I never really thought about that. I'm sure it does in some sense. I'm sure I get influenced by those people in some way.
Who are some of the biggest influences that you would say that have just been a staple in your life, you know, musically, that keeps you pushing the way you push?
I mean, going back to, you know, when I first got into rock and stuff, and like my staple bands, I mean, Tool, Type O Negative, Pantera.
Wow, typo negative, someone you don't hear a lot of.
Well,
Peter Steele was just, to me, was amazing.
I was with Kyle for 10 years. The night he died, I was actually staying at his house that night. We were just farting around in his studio, and he pulled up the web, and that was the first thing that popped up. We both sat there and cried. Like
I did too.
I saw typos so many times as a kid. And this is the only autograph I ever got from any rock and roller. I was never an autograph guy.
Wow.
I got to meet him once. He played the Vic in Chicago in November. I was probably 15. Yeah, 15, I think. And my friend that I was with at the time, she's like, let's go stand by the bus. I've never done that before. It's freezing. It's Chicago in November. Yeah. And we stood outside of his bus, and he came out with a chunk of Rice Krispie treats like this. Like not cut, just a fucking block of stuff. And he walked out, he looked around, there was like me and my friend and like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 other people standing outside just waiting. And took the Rice Krispie treat, tossed it in the air, and I'm legally blind, right? It's dark back there. I looked up and I was like, oh, I can't see anymore. I lost it. Somebody else didn't catch it. I'm never gonna win. That kind of thing. You know? Yeah. I put my head down. Hits me in the head. So his reaction, I put my hands out, and it falls in my hands. He grabs it from me, rips it in half, and I shared Rice Krispie treats with Peter Steele. And he was like the coolest dude. And I remember telling him, and unfortunately this didn't come true because he passed away. But I said, I'm gonna see you again someday, but I'm gonna see you on your level. I said that years and years and years ago, and here we are. You know, it was kind of one of those moments of like,
yeah, it's a drag that you don't get to make that one dream
him
come true.
Him and Dime, you know, were the two people that I never got to meet. But like I said, I got to tour with Helly. I've gotten to know Vinny and stuff. You know, and that's like another huge thing is just to meet these guys that, you know, almost 20 years ago or however long it's been, like influenced me to do what I do. Yeah. Just to share the stage with them and like maybe have a beer or something or whatever, you know, or just a conversation. It's just such an incredible honor for me, man. Like I said, talking to Chad the other day, like Chad I learned how to scream to Mudvayne records. You know what I mean? Like that's no joke. That's a true story. I learned how to do that. I've been singing my whole life, but screaming was a whole new skill set to learn, and I learned it because of those records. Now I'm sitting here playing a show, and he's standing side stage watching me do it. It's just like, this is fucking incredible, dude.
It is an ultimate rush, isn't it?
It's incredible, man.
You know, I remember, you know, I met Dime and Vinny, and I actually met them before Phil came to the band.
Oh, wow.
When I left Seattle, I went to Texas, and I met those guys and hung out with them while I was living in Texas for years, and you know, and butthole surfers, and just, you know, I got to know the Texas music scene. And I remember when Pantera finally recorded, you know, Cowboys, and how, you know, Dime, you know, he was kind of skeptic whether or not it was really going to break out. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, him and I are talking, and I tell him, you know, well, Alice in Chains is coming. And he's like, he really wasn't familiar with who they were. But I grew up all my life with Jerry Cantrell and Bobby Nesbitt and the original Diamond Live before they became Alice in Chains. And we go to that show, and you know, you're in your home area, Dallas and Fort Worth and Arlington, and of course you're going to see people that are Pantera fans. But all of a sudden, you know, he's really enjoying the AIC show, and all of a sudden, a month later, Pantera's just blowing up everywhere. And, you know, the man, hands down, was one of the, to me, he's like Randy Rhoads. He was a man way before his time when it comes to music.
As a guitar player, he's my number one.
You know?
No question. Always has been.
For me, it's always been about Jimmy, and then, you know, growing up here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a different, you know, style, just like Chicago does. I've seen the scene there on tour. And a lot of bands don't really talk about how the scenes change. But yet, they still seem the same. No matter where you go, what town, all of us headbangers, we were united in a front to keep our music live and enjoyable.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands don't talk about it or touch those subjects. You know, and one thing, you're now the second legally blind vocalist I've had the pleasure to watch on stage and do what you do. And the first being Rosa Arias, that used to sing for In Theory here in Tacoma, Washington. And now she's back with her death metal band. And she's just this little Hispanic, legally blind, hot female vocalist. But the girl growls meaner than any female I've ever heard out there.
Yeah.
You know? And when she gets on that stage, she's legally blind, but you can't tell once she's on that stage. It's like your guys' instincts just kicks in.
From what I understand, Randy Blythe is too.
Yes.
I understand.
I've heard that, but I've never really sat down with Randy and talked, you know, about that part of it.
Yeah, no, that's what is my impression from what people have told me that know him, and I find it amazing, like just to watch somebody like him perform, because he's a madman, you know.
He's psychotic on that stage.
I kind of am too in my own right, and
yes, indeed.
it's interesting. Like you'll notice, and I always kind of like feel out my stage, you know, during the day, kind of get a grasp of how much room I really have, and that's not to say that we haven't, you know, run into each other or I haven't tripped over pedal boards and shit like that, because that certainly happened. I guess like it's just hazards of the job, I guess. You know, once these come off, though, it's okay. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, I don't hurt myself tonight.
Well, it's like we were talking earlier. You know, last night of the tour, usually you want to throw down hard, and
I can blow my throat out tonight.
you know, it just
doesn't matter.
And it's funny because when you said that, it brought me back to, I remember watching here in Seattle, it was Rat and Poison, I think that was our tour. And Robin was so freaking drunk on stage. He missed the steps as he's running up the steps and falls while playing. You know, and it's like,
well, that's not going to happen.
Oh my Lord. But, you know, at the end of the show that night, sitting backstage with him, he's like, man, that to me was funny. He goes, again, the crowd is going to remember it.
Yeah, sure.
He goes, yeah, I messed up on a couple of my guitar leads and had to change out a guitar, but the fun was I had a blast on stage, and my fans are going to know it.
Speaking of legally blind, okay, so a good friend of mine, he's like family. His name's Casey. Also has albinism. He lives in LA. And he's from Washington.
Come on in, man.
He was singing backup for Jonathan Davis for a couple of years when I was in Upset. So he was the guy in the bunny mask, if you ever go back to the corn videos. Like, he's legally blind too. I think his vision is actually worse than mine. There was one point where he walked off the front of a stage at Family Values. Like, he couldn't see. And he had his bunny mask on, and he just fucking like, and everybody in the crew freaked out that he heard him. Something popped back up like nothing, you know. But it's like it's an ongoing joke. It's like, when are you gonna finally fall off the stage, dude? It's gonna come, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, B. It's the only way to be, man. Don't be scared. Say what
Don't
you gotta
screw
say.
up my interview.
Nah, it's all talking.
I don't even know what you just said right now. That's okay.
It's on you.
It's on you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
You know, we're talking about some of the fun stuff that we hear about on tour and that we do on tour. You know, in 2004 with Metal Church as their tour manager, we hit Salt Lake. And this club that we played at, it was where I actually got to see Kurt Vanderhoof have his Spinal Tap moment. And it was all because the way that the drum riser on this stage was set up, instead of a normal drum riser where it goes flush with the stage, they had it diagonal. So the front of the drums came out into a point.
Okay.
And he's in the middle of playing, and all of a sudden he goes to take a step back, and he hits that point of that drum riser, and he just falls back. And the guy that robbed my house in 2005, I hope that he eventually puts all those tapes from that tour out where people can see them, because you actually see me and two other guys on the road crew literally the whole time Kurt's playing. Never stop playing the whole time he hit the ground. And we're lifting him up as he's playing in Salt Lake, and people are just, the crowd's just going nuts even more. But I mean, Kurt is that professional that he didn't want to stop playing and lose their sound, you know, and so he was just going to finish the song on the ground.
So be it.
You know, but as a road crew, we were like, oh hell no, let's give it. We hoisted him back up, and he just kept playing.
It's awesome.
And it was just like lifting a straight board up.
One of my favorite videos I've ever seen is of Maynard playing, they're playing Push It.
Oh Lord.
And a fan got on stage, and for anybody who doesn't know, as far as I know, Maynard is a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And a trained Marine. He went to West Point. So this fan comes up to him, and he's like waving his arms all crazy. Maynard hip tosses him, puts him in a rear naked, chokes him out. You see the guy's arm up like this, and Maynard doesn't miss a note. It's right in the bridge of the song. You see the guy's arm, and then it just kind of, and he puts him down on the ground, lets him go, continues, like didn't miss a note. I thought that was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I was like, I wish I had been in that shot, dude. Just full on jiu-jitsu, judo, back.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I don't know if you've watched on the deal about Crowbar, the singer. I put a rant up on my site, and I'm really pissed off about it. When bands are playing, yeah, the stage that's your domain. But since the beginning of time, fans have jumped up on stage and jumped off it.
Yeah.
Or get taken, you know, walked off by security. Well, at this Crowbar show, a fan jumps up there, and while the singer's singing and stuff, and he's putting on a great show, but the security guard for this club just comes running from the side and tackles him, this fan, straight into the band room. The singer turns around and kicks the fan in the back of the head while he's being on the ground. To me, that's uncalled for. I understand being upset that you're singing and you're performing,
You don't need to be violent about it.
you know, but putting your hands, you know, it's one thing if they grab you and start doing it, then yeah, protect yourself, beat the hell out
And
of it,
that's the point.
you know?
And that's the thing about that Maynard video, is that he didn't hurt him. Like,
Exactly.
he knew the control of how a martial artist should be. Where he choked him out, sure, the guy went to sleep, but he didn't get hurt. I know that guy got up and walked away. You know, and you find things like this, like the whole Randy Blythe incident. You know, in Europe, I mean, it's the same. Then, you know, sure, we've had people come up in this band, I've had people come up in OTEP and, you know, mess with my pedal board and stuff. Yeah, sure, you get mad or whatever, and like, get out of here, but there's a certain amount of discretion that needs to be used, I think.
And that was what my rant was,
crazy fans.
is the security guy, to me, caused the whole issue.
Yeah.
Because instead of just walking out there and walking the guy off or telling him to jump back into the crowd,
Right. Yeah.
instead he ran and football tackles him. To me, you're not just putting that fan at jeopardy, you're putting that band at jeopardy.
Sure.
Because it could have snapped that singer's leg, you know, and I understand where he gets upset. But then he goes on a rampage about all this crap, and some of the shit he said I found pretty offensive. To compare himself with our military, you know, that they're fighting to save our country. Well, him up on stage is the same thing. I don't see that connection, but I also feel that if you're gonna ramp and you're gonna go off on your fans about jumping up on your stage, you better expect the repercussion that's gonna come back, because you are gonna lose fans from that.
Yeah.
You know, because no one wants to be disrespected.
Of course not.
You know, and when you're on tour, that's one of the things that does happen. A lot of security does, you know, disrespect band members, and band members disrespect security. And then you got bands that, you know, like you guys, you come in, you're about setting up, get your sound check, get yourself ready, and then play the show. And, you know, like, whenever I see you guys here, you know, a lot of people get hard on Corazon's security about how they're real strict and dicks. But if people get to know them, they're not. These guys, they do their job.
Yeah.
And so does Studio 7s. They do their job because that's what they're paid to do.
Yeah. No, there's a thing that Ivan was saying when we were out on tour with them last year. I assume he does it every show, but maybe not. But on that tour in particular, he would stop the show and say, hey, I want you to know this. These people down here in these shirts, whether yellow or blue that day or whatever, it's like, they're not your enemies. It's like, don't kick them, don't punch them. And I think he said something in, if you grab their junk, at least leave a phone number. But he's making a good point, especially at those shows, because Five Finger fans are incredibly intense. I don't want to say aggressive, because they're not necessarily aggressive. They can be.
I don't know, we can be.
They can be. But the point is that, like, if you're going to come over the barricade, these guys are going to grab you, and they're going to put you, you know, back in the crowd. And it's like, they're not trying to hurt you, so don't be mean to them. They're not trying to be mean to you.
Exactly.
And I always thought that was really cool. I was like, thank you for giving the fans, like, a heads up that they don't, you know, they're metal fans, you know what I mean? Like, fuck authority and fuck the police.
All rebellion.
Yeah, rebellion. Oh, you have a shirt that matches that guy's shirt. I hate you. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. These guys are looking out for your best interest, trying to make sure nobody gets hurt, nobody goes to the fucking hospital. Those things are really important, especially at shows like that. So,
and that I agree. You know, as a guy that likes to take pictures of the shows and stuff, when no matter what kind of concert it is, when you're doing that, as a photographer, you know, we spend a lot of money on those cameras. Just like we do on any of our guitars. I mean, you know, I've got a nice Line 6 Wagner. That thing is not cheap. You know, but you know, they're not cheap. So yeah, I'm going to be very protective of it. Of course. Just like I am my camera. But I also look at the security guys, and when fans are being pushed or smashed up against that barricade, if it wasn't for those guys, there's a lot of people that would be way more injured.
It's true.
You know, and I've gotten kicked so many times in the head, and you know, and I've had security out the big festivals where I'm trying to get crowd shots, and they're holding on to me. And I've had a security guy where one of my cameras got taken off me at the White River, and before I knew it, that security guy had that camera back.
Yeah.
You know?
All the festivals we play, same thing. Like, when we're done, I go out and I shake hands with the crowd or whatever. Sometimes I get in the crowd, depending how froggy I'm feeling that day. And there's always somebody shadowing me. You know, there's always somebody there to make sure that, like, you don't get hurt, you don't get hurt.
So how many festivals do you guys got planned for the rest of this year?
At least 2 that I know of. We just did quite a few. We did Welcome to Rockville, Carolina Rebellion, Rock on the Range, Rocklahoma, Rockfest in Omaha. We have one coming up in Virginia on the 21st. We have Dirt Fest coming up in Michigan in, I want to say that's August. I might be wrong.
Yeah, the August one is the one that I'm trying to.
Dirt Fest, yeah. So we got a couple more coming up at least. We'll see what else they fill in.
So are you guys already booked for touring the rest of 2014?
Working on it. At this point, the only thing that's official is the Seven Dust Run that's coming up, July, August.
And then, are you guys looking to go back into the studio in 2015?
Yeah, we'll look to do another record coming up in the next few months. I think we're going to try to tour out the rest of the year if we can, depending on what we can get out. Will take us out or whatever. But yeah, the second record is definitely we're approaching that point where it's going to be really time to talk about when to go in and really focus on that. So it's coming.
So then the fans, all of us sinners, we get to enjoy 2014. We can pretty much look at seeing you guys come through town a couple more times.
I hope so, yeah.
And enjoy that.
And then another record, I would say, and again, this is just my total intuition.
Yeah.
You know, I would say late this year, early next year, we'll look to really go in the studio again. So, however long that process takes, and then it takes to get pushed out.
So some bands write while they're on tour. Are you guys one of those bands that's constantly writing and just recording it? And
yeah, just even if it's just like a riff, you know, just one idea or something to put it down. Sometimes it'll happen at sound check, and I'll look at Mike and be like, "Don't forget that. Remember that. You know, we need to use that later." Every song is different. You know, sometimes it's a whole band conglomerate writing it. Sometimes it's one person writing a whole song, bringing it and saying like, "What do you guys want to do to this?" And I'll take it and I'll do my vocals or whatever. It's really just a case-by-case basis.
so what's it like? Is there a real big jump to go from being a guitarist and writing songs in bands to being a vocalist and writing? Do you feel there's a big difference?
I'm sure there is. For me personally, not really, because I've sang in other bands before. This is actually the first band I didn't play guitar in. Always played guitar in bands since I was a kid. But I sang in a lot of those bands too. So I guess the weirdest part is not writing guitars.
So
It's not really the vocal end of it that really bothers me. Or actually, I shouldn't even say bothers me, but I even contributed some guitar stuff on this record. You know, when we were in the studio, I got to put in my 2 cents about riffs and stuff. So I don't think anybody's really, you know, in the band put me just, "You're the singer and that's what you do."
I couldn't see any of you guys being like that.
No,
Just
I mean, I play piano, I play guitar, I play drums, so I always have input for everybody about what they do, and I get input back from everybody, whether it be vocally, like lyrically, or melody lines or stuff. Like if Mike and I are trying to work on harmonies, like he has the whole world to tell me, like if he has an idea, you know what I mean? Like there's nobody shutting each other down for it.
yeah, to me, you know, being a guitarist and then switching to vocals and not playing that guitar, I mean, a lot of people get used to having that security of something that
That's
they're
the
used to.
weirdest part.
So
And I'm over it now. I've been doing this for 4 years in this band now, you know. So that was the weirdest part, is having that safety net, that blanket. Like, oh, I don't know what to say. Woo, do a dive bomb, you know. You can't really do that as a vocalist. You have to actually talk and interact and stuff. That was the toughest part to get used to, but it came pretty quickly.
So it's pretty natural to you, man.
At this point, it's this is what I do every day. So it's not really an
Well,
issue.
I know it's getting close to dinner time for you, and get you some rest before you get up on that stage and rip our heads off. So we're gonna close this interview out. This is Dave with Aaron from Gemini Syndrome. Remember, sinners, do not miss them. 2014, they are blowing it up. There is no better band on tour right now. Check them out. They'll be out this coming in about a month with Seven Dust. Don't miss that tour, because you get to see 2 phenomenal singers, LeJean of Seven Dust and the mighty Aaron from the Syndrome. Peace out.